It is ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra. That is Jarvis over there shuffling his papers because you know him. He likes to do his research and he likes to give you guys little nuggets. So, hey, look, never mad at him for going, hey, gotta make sure I got these last few numbers right. And you know what? Numbers we always have to make sure we get right. Our subscriber numbers as we get closer and closer to that 2,000 mark on YouTube. We appreciate you guys for that. Keep following and keep liking us as well. And also the numbers that we like you guys to get right, that 5-star review when you are checking out our podcast on any of the platforms where you check out other podcasts. So we appreciate you guys for continuing to support us and for letting us know how much you enjoy this particular podcast in the Locked On Sports Atlanta Network. And speaking of things that we enjoy when we can still say these words, and I quote the man, JD, the Braves are still undefeated in June. Come on,
Yeah,
people.
there we go. Come
Give them
on, man,
love.
give
Give
it
them love.
up,
Yeah,
give it
yeah, yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Go on and give
Spice
them
of
flowers.
chocolate, give
Yeah,
it up.
yes, yes, yes. So, and being a serious journalist, I will not be using sexual chocolate and Ronald Acuna Jr. in the same sentence. However, Jarvis said
Wow.
it. We're just gonna roll with it. That being said,
Yep,
also will
this is
not be
about to
using
go off
white
the
chocolate
rails.
when Jarvis refers to Kyle Wright. Moving right along. We
Right.
had ourselves a 3-2 win last night as the Braves returned home to Truist Park,
Oh
opening
man.
up their homestand with hosting the A's. And it was a really nice 3-2 win because it had so many of the storylines that you and I had talked about
Right.
before the game and what we really wanted to see, a bounce back night from Kyle Wright. You can't ask for more from him than not just the
Man.
8 innings that he pitched, Jarvis, but also coming back on, giving up several hits early on, shaking it off, settling down, and then going right in and showing you that he had the stuff. And he had the stuff for the entire night. And then whenever you see Ronald Acuna Jr. not just saying that he feels like he's back to 100%, but actually showing you that he's back to
Man.
100%. When you're talking about 6 hits, including 3 home runs these last 2 games, only the second time in his career that he's done that in a 2 game stretch in that leadoff spot. And again, the importance of it is the fact that he's doing it at a point where he's telling you it's like show and prove. Like, I'm not just saying I'm back, I'm showing you I'm back. So that is just a beautiful thing, especially when so many of us, Braves country, you and I, we've been trying to figure out how the Braves would turn this thing around, have the
Mm-hmm.
answer at the right time, and who and what that answer was going to be. And there have been, I would say, nominees for the answer because
Yeah.
certainly the Braves have gotten some good things. Whether you look defensively at a Michael Harris II, Austin Riley, who has definitely held them down during some low moments and some dark stretches. William Contreras, who's played all of about 20 games, and it's just
Whenever he's on the field, he gonna ball.
right. And that's actually whether you put him at catcher because he's called some solid games, you put him in left field, and of course, certainly behind the plate. But when you talk about harkening back to that one guy who was the ultimate game changer and is the original namesake for the answer, and Allen Iverson, you got the answer last night in Ronald Acuna Jr., who was so icy when he left
Man,
that
like
play.
it is. I mean, and the thing about it, like we were like literally racking our brains trying to figure out what the answer was. Right? We
Right.
kind of hinted at Ronald Acuna. Oh yeah, once
Yeah.
he can start
We know he
playing every
comes back to
day.
do that.
Yeah, in July when all that
Right.
stuff. When he reached the 1 year anniversary of his surgery, I was like, well, that's too
Yeah.
far from now. We need
No,
answers
we
now.
need it.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but now that we are here though, oh my
My,
God. His name is the answer. Like we're gonna refer to
no.
him as the answer in the
Yeah.
month of June for at least at least for that amount of time. But because I think we're gonna borrow the nickname from AI for a second here. Just for
Yeah.
30 days, AI. That's all we need.
Hmm.
And when you think about it though, it's just him being in the lineup. Like Kyle Wright talking about after the game how Ronald Acuna can have a bad day at the plate, a
Bad
bad
game.
game,
Bad
and
game.
still
Still.
be that dude.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting on base, stealing
Yep.
bases,
Still
putting pressure
stealing
on the
big. Yeah.
opposing pitchers. It's
Hmm.
just so many ways he can affect the game. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I haven't never really seen that before. You know, just from a especially from a leadoff hitter. Like
Yeah.
he has 24 leadoff home runs,
Yeah.
and
Crazy.
and the closest person in the organization, he breaking the record, and he's just adding on to it is Felipe
Hmm.
Alou. Felipe Alou
Hmm.
had 17. So yeah, that
And
record
think of how far
he's
you have
gonna
to go back to go find that nugget.
right, exactly. So my whole
Yeah.
thing is with him, it's just that he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's that dude. He's the answer to all of the Braves' needs right now
Yes.
because we know what we've been getting from the pitching staff. Those guys have been pretty consistent throughout the
Hmm.
season. They just haven't really had that run support, right? And Ronald Acuna is a guy who, like you said, he can go yard, he can get on base, he can steal bases
Hmm.
when he's on. He can put that pressure on defenses. He can score from first to third on a
Yes.
double you may hit if they hit a double in the gap. It's
Hmm.
just so many things that this dude does, and my whole and I just got one gripe, T. I want to go ahead and get this out because
Okay.
I've been reading some stuff online and all this stuff. Like now, people having issues with the celebrations, right? My whole thing with that, yeah, like people have an issue
All
with that.
right,
People
Felicia.
have an issue with the way the man celebrates, and I'm not calling out Dave O'Brien because I absolutely love Dob. And it was just the way he was talking about it because you're talking about how he's an elite talent and Brian Snicker don't really know what he gonna do with him and as if it's an issue. Like, what do you
Right.
mean what he gonna do? He
What
don't
is it?
doggone love it
Let him
and
be.
embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace it
Let
because that's
him
who he is. He's a young
be.
kid that not kid. He's a young man that's out there doing his thing, playing the game that he loves, and he's expressing himself in a way that you would never will
Yes.
and never would have, because you're just not on that level, and I think that for Ronnie to call this one out saying that he was going to do it if he hits a
Hmm.
home run and do the celebration, it is
Right.
just absolutely it's just cool and dope. And for all the people who don't like it, kick rocks,
Yeah.
pound sand, and just go hide somewhere because this is the game of today. And
Yeah.
stop telling me about what went back on 20 years ago because
Yeah.
these kids they have emotions and they show it and they have a different way of showing it than you because they probably were better than you at sports. So yeah, stop. Thank you.
And the thing
Sorry.
about it is, in actuality, it's been there for forever because last I checked, Ozzie Smith was doing backflips in the outfield.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
or infield,
Coming
I should
off the
say.
field.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, it may not have kind of looked that way. Like you may not see the icy chain and the hat turned to the side or what have you. It may not have looked quite like that, but there were definitely some things, and there were definitely some players, even I'm sure before Ozzy, that would stand at that plate and kind of do their own kind of low key bat flip or kind of their stare down and watch that moonshot before they trotted around
Yeah.
those bases. That's the joy of the game. So let
Yes.
him and Braves country and all of these people who are tuning in and watching the evolution of greatness, let them enjoy the moment. It's funny because I was having a conversation just last night about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having a conversation actually with our old boss, and he mentioned you and how you were telling him, man, just and a couple other people were telling him, just take it in. Embrace, the opportunity and just enjoy the moment. You'll have plenty of time to dig down into all of the inner workings of your job. And listen, Ronald Acuna Jr. still has a lot of growing to do. So he's still
Yes.
going to be sitting back and seeing how he can get better and taking all of the advice that he can to improve himself as a player. But I'm also okay if in the moment he's enjoying what is happening because I just believe that that brings other people joy. And I think if MLB wants to catch up with the likes of the NFL, NBA, and even Major League Soccer, man, low key, they get it in too with their
Right.
celebrations.
Yeah. Come on.
That's an exciting thing for a fan. And last I checked, they're playing the game for the fan of 2022, not the fan of 1952. At the end of the day, that's just the reality of it. And when I think about as well, and take another away by the way from nephew Ronnie, but I think the other piece there for the Braves is this one thing that it kind of like it's contagious, but it's in a different way because obviously it's not like football where it's 11 players and each one of us is kind of affecting the guy next to us, right? Or
Right.
it's five players at each end for basketball and they're literally playing off of each other. It's a little bit different in baseball, but sometimes when you get a spark, like Ronald Acuna Jr., you may not be able to always show like a statistical significance or whatever, or correlation. But then you start looking at little things and start looking into the weeds and saying, and Ronald Acuna Jr. set the stage because with him setting the stage, that gave Guillermo Heredia the opportunity to hit a leadoff home run, right? That
Right.
gave Kenley Jansen an opportunity to come back and redeem himself from his
Yes.
last couple of outings and get that perfect ninth inning to get the Braves to save. And I just believe that when you put somebody like Ronald Acuna Jr. in the space that he was put in last night and really the last couple of games, then it starts to become a trickle down effect. You start to believe. And one more thing, Jarvis, before we wrap up, that I wanted to say is this is also the perfect opportunity. And I hate to be negative, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to be negative. I'm just being realistic. This is the
Mm-hmm.
perfect opportunity for the for the Braves to kind of take advantage. Could be some big times up ahead for the Mets. Because when you're looking at the possibility of them losing a Pete Alonso or a Starling Marte for an extended period of time, coupled with the fact that the Braves already had a, a lesser strength of schedule, if you will, it's just a lighter load that they're going to be carrying for the month of June and a
Right.
heavier load for the Mets. And you look at things like what happened with the Astros, where they'll go on like, and they went on like an 11-game win streak, if you will, and those are the things that when and the Angels, I wanted to say, who lost 11 straight.
Right. Right.
Pendulums start to swing when you start thinking about things like that. So if the Braves can do what they're supposed to do, which is beat some of these lesser teams during this stretch, while maybe the Mets start to get, go on the ropes, at a minimum, we can start talking about possibilities for wild card, but at a maximum, the division is not maybe as much out of reach as maybe it was even a week or two or three ago.
We'll definitely see you tonight with at 7:20. Ian Anderson is on the mound, and I'm gonna say it again. I said it yesterday for Kyle Wright. Make sure you keep those guys off the bases, Mr. Anderson.
Exactly. The end. Period. Period. The end. But speaking of the end, we definitely have a group and a little something that we're going to talk about and for the culture where it's never ending for them because every time they go quiet or they go dark, something brings them back to the forefront. And I'm always here for it. So we're going to talk about it and for the culture on the other side of ATL Day One.